Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Week 2 of Division 2 here in the Midwest F1 League. I'm Hotspot, and alongside me once again is Monkey Mafia. But here we are at the Bahrain International Circuit. The short, or the paddock layout, I guess, is what this is called this time around. So 10 corners make up this shrunken down to 3.7 kilometer circuit with 7 to the right, and only 3 to the left. Still the 2 DRS zones, the one being going down the front straight, and then obviously the one which would normally be coming out of turn 10. But I think the biggest challenge is simply going to be keeping it consistent. I mean, you have to have you have to have ultra consistency at this track, especially in this qualifying session.
Yeah, the tightness of the qualifying is going to be entertaining to watch. You only have 18 minutes. You got 19 drivers trying to share a small track during the race, so it's going to be about not getting damaged. One pit stop can put you a lap down here, and you go a lap down, and it's about over after that.
Absolutely, and I think the thing that people don't necessarily understand is, especially in this qualifying session, you have to hit every single corner to perfection. It's not like it's a track like Singapore where you can make a mistake and potentially get away with it having slightly slower lap. If you have a slow lap in this qualifying session, I mean, and before we were seeing laps within the 58-second range, so we were seeing it that fast, and it's like if you make one mistake, you could be completely done for. But I want to give a quick shout out to Teok, Adol, Tony, and Detail, Ray 46, Matt Rosie, and Will Ans for lending me their broadcast audios for tonight. And just a quick note, Best Pawns, I guess, has stumbled into the Alfa Romeo, a Div 2 regular last season, and then I guess I was supposed to say Teok has gone into the... Well, I think I've gotten that wrong. Someone has stepped into the Red Bull, and that is VTech. I don't know why it connected, I don't know why it's spelled checked to tech. I didn't pick up on that. I didn't pick up on that at first, but it looks like first out on track is going to be Benz Rice. Now, he's fitted the mediums here. How much of that seems like a pretty interesting decision to me.
If you can do it and you can put a good lap in, it's medium to hard is doable here. When we did the divisional race, I did a medium to hard, and it was just fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it just kind of surprised me a little bit. I mean, we do actually have a considerable amount of drivers on that medium compound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers in total starting on the medium compound, and I'm wondering just how much more grip they are going to lose. But here we are on board with Uncle Ben's Rice. We're going to start a kind of your impromptu track guide of the Bahrain paddock layout. As you see, nothing too different about turns 1, 2, and 3. Still kind of messy through here as it normally can get. That is a very tight turn 1 indeed, and then 2, 3, all the same here. But then we're going to take a very sharp right turn through 4, and then down that right there is where normally track turn 10 comes out. So pretty much all of that is straightforward. Nothing else really that concerning on this circuit. I guess entry here into turn 6, which is normally 11, you need to get that right, and then up here through the hill through turn 7. Try not to hit that curbing. You certainly will spin, and then obviously through turn 8, get a nice tight apex into the corner, and then I guess maybe just the backstretch, this straightaway here, maybe just conserving your overtake button, because some people would normally like to use it there. That is not a DRS zone until we come to the front stretch here, and that is your impromptu track guide of the Bahrain paddock layout. And he starts things off with a 59.284, and then gets immediately toppled by Matt Rosie, who goes directly into the 58-second range. That must have been a very solid lap from Matt Rosie. That is quick.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking upper 58s, not lower, and he definitely put one down on the softs. I think ultimately everybody's going to end up going softs here in qualifying. I don't think anybody will stay with those mediums.
And that seems to definitely be the trend, as the 3 drivers that have taken laps on mediums, Benz, Rice, Capitano, and Saffron, are currently 5th, 6th, and 7th, those being the bottom 3 drivers that have made times. So, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Oh, do we have a... AlphaTauri that is off in turn 3. That is El Capitano, who appears to have lost it out of turn 2, very reminiscent to both what Kimi Räikkönen and Nikita Mazepin did in the actual Bahrain race. He's gone off around that same spot, and he's completely torched his front wing. It is completely gone, certainly not the way he wanted to start the session. However, he has got his timed lap in, but still, very tough break for him.
Definitely still got those mediums down on the bottom. They're just not. I don't think anybody's going to get a lap in on those. That's going to be worthwhile tonight.
And so we also have Detail, which not Detail, Ray 46 on his outlap. Kind of a slow start to the season for the Red Bull team, currently sitting in 10th place, who I believe didn't actually rack up any points because I think they both DNF'd, I think is the ruling behind that. Them and McLaren both need a good race here, as we see Ray 46 going down the third straight here from turn 8 to turn 9. He's also fitted the medium tires. This is his first timed lap. Let's see how he does coming out of 10. And goes 9th, so not the best lap he could crank out, and I think what you're saying is coming to fruition here. If you are going to be using the medium tires, it might be a little bit difficult for you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be in the top 10. I think too many are going to come back out on softs. The first couple corners here, it's really good to be up front. It can get kind of ugly. Just people not really knowing how to brake on this track in traffic on those first couple corners. It can get ugly. So really you want to be up front. So if you can get them down on the softs, you probably want to do that.
And speaking of starting a lap on the softs, this is the Alfa Romeo of Humble Hippo, who I don't think... I mean, if we look at the driver's standings, currently sits 13th, only notched 10 points last week. Definitely not the result he would have liked. However, he does have a good chance to do so here today, and as we see him as he goes out of turns 3 and 4, down the straight he goes. Looks to be on a solid lap so far. We do have a Mercedes. That is Hightower. As Hightower just completely DNF'd here. Hang on a minute. I'm going to go back on with Humble Hippo because Hightower is in a very sketchy part of the circuit to be DNF'd, and I think he's actually completely DNF'd it.
That's that right-hander. You catch that inside rail, and
ooh,
you can. Yeah, he's definitely.
Wow,
looks like
he's
he
hit that a ton.
Looks like he took the rear off of it, which means he might have caught it and then spun it back around at the wall that way, because that looked like the right rear was off of it.
And so, fortunately, Humble Hippo had to kind of stop his timed lap attempt there. However, once he got to the yellow flag section, he was able to kind of conserve the tires a little bit more. I assume he'll go out for a timed one here. And yeah, obviously that lap's going to be a little bit slower as he had to slow down for the yellow flags. But Hightower had 2 laps on the mediums, clocked in at a 1 minute .041. Definitely not one of the better lap times we're going to see, though. I mean, even on the medium tires, the best we have so far is Saffron at a 59.7. So yeah, that is definitely not the start to the weekend that Hightower wanted.
No, and for Hightower, I know he just switched over. He just got a new wheel and new setup, so I know he's been trying to get used to that. And those first couple weeks you have it, it's always tough. I'd imagine that's credit to it. But that time's going to be probably in the back 2 rows, I would think, by the time we're done here.
Yeah, and definitely not. I mean, especially at this track here, it's very. As we were talking about before, it's a very tightly compressed track. You're not going to be able to, make up a lot of ground, especially if you, start making mistakes. And as you said before, going into turn 1, you want the best track position you can possibly get. Just that, these first 3 turns at Bahrain always, no matter what layout of the circuit you're on, always some form of mess. And I think we have seen that. I think we're going to see that again. Hopefully not as bad as, contrary to popular belief, but it could be a mess for all I know.
Yeah, it looks like the usual suspects sitting up front now that Uncle Ben came out on a set of softs and did a 58.5. You got Matt, Will, and Uncle Ben there in the top 3. I think that's going to be the usual suspects this year.
As you see here, Will Ann's getting somewhat of a toe behind his AlphaTauri teammate of El Capitano, who Capitano goes, straight into no man's land there, as he also lets Domingos go by. Oh, and there goes Will Ann's around out of turn 2, and he's gone to Coney Island on that one, as my father would say. Completely wiped out there. He is on a fresh set of softs as well, so that has done him absolutely no favors. However, he's in a good spot right now. He's about 2/10 off the provisional pole. Put in a very respectable lap. I doubt this is going to be the last time we see him on track, though that was a little bit of a mishap there.
Yeah, here you can, it doesn't take long to get around here to come back and get in the pits, get a new set, and be back out in no time at all. It's not like going around, Spa where 5 minutes later you get to the pits.
Well, as we've just seen on my POV, at least, Forza Juve has apparently deleted his time with track limits. That was the lap previous to this, and I'm just kind of struggling to I actually have no idea where that could possibly be. I mean, the only reasonable place I could see that happening is maybe going through turn 8. I know going both into it and out of it is a possibility of kind of deleting your time there. I'm assuming he could have ran wide, but other than that, track limits is not really something to be completely worried about with this circuit, though it will catch up on you eventually if you do keep making the mistake.
Yeah, I think the two spots you're going to see it the most is your final corner coming out. The exit there, you can swing out and catch one pretty easily. And then 3 where it chops off to the short circuit. That's where I always seem to get one, is right there. You can kind of cut that short, trying to not run too wide, and then you end up caught up. And I think the one penalty I got during the divisional was at that, right there at 3.
So meanwhile, we have both. Oh, and well, I was going to say how the both AlphaTauri is currently in the top 3. However, we've seen El Capitano again go off in turn 3 and 4, and then Tiok jumps up into 4th. This is, I think, the second, this makes 3 times in total for both AlphaTauri teams. So, I mean, do you think that these first couple corners are going to see something like that, where you just catch the curb wrong and you could go off like that? Because it seems like a kind of out of the ordinary place to spin off like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's that, and then what is it? 8, that right-hander, the right-handed sweeper. That's going to be what catches people off. I think is going to be the most where you're going to see accidents. You're going to see DNFs right where Hightower went off. I think you'll see plenty of DNFs right there. I'll go with a bold prediction of 3 DNFs in that corner.
In that corner alone, that doesn't surprise me all that much, because I'm going to be honest, I am victim to that corner as well as I'm sure everyone else is who has raced on this circuit. But let's just go over the constructors' standings real quick. Williams had themselves undoubtedly the best weekend out of any team last week at Canada. They currently sit first at 55. Renault making a strong charge in second at 49, so not a huge gap there. And then even closer behind them, Ferrari in third at 43 points. Then it gets even closer. Alfa Romeo in fourth, 3 down at 40 points. Then behind them, another 3 points back, is Mercedes in fifth. AlphaTauri sits sixth at 32. Seventh is Racing Point at 30. Haas at 20 and 8th. And then McLaren and Red Bull at 9th and 10th. Both have yet to score a point this season. So, I mean, do you think Williams... I mean, it's still too early to decide who's the team to beat realistically, especially considering we've got a lot of talent on completely different teams altogether. But do you think Williams have already, I don't want to say asserted their dominance just yet, but do you think they're looking like one of the teams to beat this season?
Yeah, I definitely think they're one that's up there. The other one I'm going to have to go with is probably Renault. You got Uncle Ben's and Niru. As long as they're consistent and can finish races, I think they're going to be one to deal with, along with Will and El Capitano at AlphaTauri. I think it's going to be down to those 3 at the end. But I think it really comes down to DNFs. Who's finishing races? With getting points all the way through the field, it's huge to just finish races. And whoever's got the best determination to get that done is going to be the ones that win it.
Absolutely, and I think consistency is definitely going to be the key. Something that, you know, being around Div 2 all of last season, sometimes something that the Williams team sometimes lacked, especially getting into the mid-season. That's back when we had Sadistic King and then Saffron, who was obviously still there. But I just want to point this out. The top 12 drivers all within 1 second of each other. So when we were saying it was going to be close, this is ridiculous close. I granted we have about 0.2 of a second a gap from first to second, but throughout that, it is so evenly contested. I mean, we could be in for a very good race here, hopefully.
Well, I mean, you go down all the way to 18th, and you got a second and a half, just over a second and a half between 1 to 18. It's going to come down to just attrition. I mean, who's going to last all 57 laps? That's the thing that's kind of key here is you get going and you get in and you think you run about 25 laps and you're about 5 in, and it's just like, oh man, this is a long race.
Absolutely. And I mean, this track is
the least
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the least of mistakes is gonna be the key.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's obviously seeing some of these times at the top of the leaderboards currently. That is the case. They were just simply the ones that haven't made any mistakes, hit the throttle as early as they possibly could, didn't get wheel spin, yada yada. You know how that goes. But we are in. This is a 100% distance race. Now, I think the reason we've done this is because it is the same distance as 50% on the normal circuit. I think that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
It's about 5 to 10 minutes more for the 100% race on the short to compare to the Bahrain full 50%. Pork Chops and I did a lot of testing at the end of last season on these short tracks to see which one would be the most viable to do, and really came out that this one was the most fun. Seemed like everybody enjoyed this one the most. So we went with this, and yeah, 100% because a 50% race would be over in no time on this, it seems like. Wouldn't be any fun.
Well, as we see here, I mean, some of these, a lot of cars coming back out on circuit. Only 2 left in the pits at the moment. Also out on their outlaps at the moment, Matt Rosie and Will Ans, first and second currently. Benz Rice sitting third has just invalidated his lap time, so I'm going to assume he's going to give it another go here. I think he actually could have been letting someone on a timed lap go by, because that was a 1 minute 11 second lap. So I'm going to assume he was just letting someone go by there. And there goes Capitano letting Benz Rice go by. But 40 seconds left here. Matt Rosie currently on provisional pole, starting his timed lap. Benz Rice also on a timed lap, despite him being on 1 lap old sauce, so it's going to be a little bit slower. Not all that much, of course, but it's going to be enough to, well, not even that much to make a difference. But also we got Will Ans coming to the stripe now for a timed lap, just really taking up as much time as he can to get to the line, so that nobody else can complete a lap before he gets to it, which is going to start now.
Definitely, yeah, I'm riding along with Matt Rosie here. He's come around, looks to be running a really good lap. I missed the time I just got over to him, so actually he's off by a second. We'll jump on with Will. Will's off too.
And he's
somebody on a good lap.
Seems to be, yeah, I was going to say, he seems to be off on a decent amount of time there, and it looks like Matt Rosie. Oh, did he potentially get in? There's not a checkered flag by his name on my screen, at least. Did he potentially get in to start another lap? I think it's possible.
Yeah, looks like he did.
And Capitano has gone across both 9 and 10 through the sand-looking pavement that is put there, and he's going to make his way into the pits. So 5th place for Capitano at the moment, though definitely more cars going to be coming to the line, including right now, that is going to be Will Ans to the stripe. Now let's see where he goes, and he is going to stay 2nd at the moment. Behind him is Soy Loco. He's going to stay 6th, and then behind him, I believe that is the Ferrari of Adaltonian. He goes 13th. Next to the line, I believe, is going to be Matt Rosie.
Yep, that's who I'm on with now, coming to the line. Let's see what he can do.
It's going to be close. Wow, the
Cuts another.
first time in the 57 range. That's a scorching lap for Matt Rosie. That is unbelievable there. I mean, I think that might be a league record for this track. We've raced at this track, whether it be actual, actual races and whatnot, a couple times now, at least 2 or 3. I know we had the showcase race with all the realistic cars, and then there were some guys throwing in some fun runs and stuff there. That is the fastest time I think we're going to see on this track across all 4 divisions, if I'm honest. It's very possible.
Definitely, and that looks like we are completed with qualifying here. And, like I say, the typical 3 on the top. Piak right there, too, last week's pole sitter. And Hightower ended up 19th after his DNF. Going to be a tough one. The nice thing is he doesn't have anybody behind him. He can take his time going in and hopefully come out clean.
And he's also going to get the choice of tires as well. As you know, he's outside the top 10, so he's going to get the choice of tires. So his strategy might help him there a little bit, though 19th is definitely not where you want to start whatsoever on this track. But Matt Rosie taking pole in significant fashion here, going 57.899 on that lap. Absolutely incredible lap, and that is going to round out our qualifying session. And once it comes up, Monkey, would you like to run through our qualifying results?
Definitely. We got Matt Rosie on the pole, Will Ans in the AlphaTauri in second, Uncle Ben's in the Renault, Tiak in the Ferrari in row 2. Row 3 will be El Capitano in the AlphaTauri with Soy Loco in the Racing Point. Row 4, Forza Juve in the Mercedes, Sefron in the Williams, Humble Hippo, Nero Nix. Then you got Detail and Ray. And then what do we got here? Row 7, Adel, Tony, and Valentine. Got Pons in the reserve role there in 15th. Domingos, Spoolin, VTech, and Hightower are going to round this thing out as we are counting down and getting ready to go.
So I think the biggest surprise to me is honestly seeing Domingos kind of qualify this far back. He was a Div 2 regular last year. He was putting in together some absolutely great results for that McLaren team. Again, not one of the most consistent drivers on the grid, but no question in talent. But he is starting way down, a lot further down in the field than I would have originally imagined. But so yeah, that is going to be interesting to see. But any other predictions that you may have for this race, Monkey?
I don't want to say it, but I think we might have a back-to-back here. I think Matt Rosie might run away with this one again. I'm going to go with Will, and then I think Soy Loco on the podium.
Ooh, so no Ben's Rice up there as well. I kind of have to agree with that. It's going to be very close, and I think Matt Rosie, assuming that he gets the start that he wants, could very well get out to another early lead. Will Ans definitely can get this lead away from Matt Rosie going into 1, but he's going to have to fight for his life on that for sure. So that's going to be a very close one, and Uncle Ben's Rice definitely could pull out a solid result here. It's all going to be a matter of, how clean do these drivers keep it? How consistent do they keep it? And, another thing is, we were talking earlier, this is a 60-lap race or something. This is one of those races that's going to be 57 laps. So this is going to be one of those races that really kind of test the driver's patience and whatnot, getting stuck into a rhythm. It might be mentally draining for some of these guys.
Yeah, rhythm is the key here. Just getting consistent laps. And that's why I think Soy is going to find himself on there. He won that divisional race. And the one thing he did, if you go back and look at his lap times, I think we're all almost identical. Every lap within, a couple tenths. Consistency is going to be key. That's why I think he'll get himself on the podium. I think Uncle Ben, I think he'll have his one. He always seems to have one spin a race. And so I think that'll get him in. He'll be right outside the podium, but I think he'll be off of it this week.
But, consistency getting up there, even if it's not a podium, consistently getting those good results, definitely something to be, craving here in this division, as obviously this is going to be a very close division this entire season. I know right now it may look like we got the same 3 drivers up there, but I tell you what, it's going to be no shortage of action whatsoever. And as you say, consistency is going to be absolutely key, and it looks like TNE Highway is the first person to ready up.
That's fine. They had plenty of time there.
Yeah, no, they had absolutely enough time to do so. But
the lobby host was slacking. I kind of forgot to tell him.
Well, that's one of the things, they've gotten a lot better at not pressing X until the 2 minutes or whatever. I remember that was a problem specifically, I think, at Baku last season. It was like an immediate press, and there was a lot of drivers who couldn't necessarily get their setups in on time, but they're getting very disciplined at it, so that's good to see.
Definitely.
So I'm also going to be looking out for Tiok here in that Ferrari. He's going to have, I think, the benefit of a good starting spot here, assuming that he can get a better launch than maybe Ben's Rice. He could have something to prove here as well. As you said, Capitano, oh no, Capitano has spun it coming out of turn 4. He's done a bit of he's done a bit of Bahrain drift there, coming out of the corner, gone completely sideways to the track. I'm actually kind of glad I was able to go along with that. So yeah, I mean, anyone realistically in the top 5 right now getting a good jump on the start could potentially have a really solid race. As you said, the further down in the field you go is going to be very, very difficult for any of these drivers, and but it's anything's possible in this division, which is kind of the best thing about us. And this is the strategy we have going now. 2 stop. You're going to pit probably around lap 16 or so on that softs, and I think it said potentially mid-20s. I didn't get a good chance to look at it, unfortunately, but yeah, strategy could very well play into this race. How much of an impact do you think that's gonna have?
Well, I did the 1 stop in the divisional, and I think that's what kept me up front. It's not hard to do. I think you'll find I think it'd be a 50-50. We'll find half of the guys are going to do a 1 stop. We got, let's see, 8 on mediums to start, 7 on mediums to start this thing. So I think they're going to probably look to go, I think the medium goers are going to be a 2-stopper. I think they're going to go medium, soft, soft. That's just my call.
That could very well be the case, and as we were saying, those people outside the top 10 might potentially have they might potentially have a good little up on the rest of the field as they have the choice of tire compound. As you saw, a lot of them are taking the medium tires, and this camera angle's awful. Here we are, 4 lights. Lights out, and away we go at Bahrain. It would appear that my camera game is lagging significantly again, and it looks like Saffron has... What is happening here? Did it lag for me that much? Because honestly, the lights have been out for 5 minutes. However, it would appear that Matt Rosie's got a great start into the corner. Here comes Will Ans to the right side. Oh, Domingos has retired down the pit straight. That is an absolutely massive impact. Pieces of styrofoam signs going everywhere, front wings everywhere, and we didn't even have to get to turn 1 to see the effects of that. And it would appear that a lot of the field has already picked up penalties, and all of them are 5-second penalties. So this is very interesting. There's a lot of penalties been picked up already. Presumably, all of them have been on ignoring yellow flags. Saffron's got the only drive-through penalty, jumping the start. I'm not really sure. My start was completely lagged out there on my screen. All 5 lights were out, and everybody was still standing dead still.
I had the same, and then everybody took off. But then it looked like Racing Point and a Ferrari got together there on the straight, and then shot across, and that's what got Domingos. He actually got cut across and ran him straight in there.
So surprisingly not a full safety car to start off this race, only a VSC. So Will Ans has jumped out to the lead over Matt Rosie. Ben's Rice in 3rd. He could potentially be getting some pressure there from Tiok, and then eventually Capitano. Very closely contested here. 3 drivers coming in now. It's going to be Saffron, Detail, and TNE Highway. Very chaotic start as we have another yellow flag. That's going to be the Alfa Romeo of Best Ponds reserving this week, who has taken up quite a bit of grass there on exit of turn 3, and how much front wing has he lost? I can't quite tell from this angle. I'm not sure if he's lost any, and yeah, he's missing quite a significant amount on his right side, and TNE Highway has just completely DNF'd, so that's going to be 2 straight weeks without points for the McLaren team.
Yeah, that's tough. I'm not sure. I had the tire thing up, and it says he's got intermediates. I don't know if he went to pit and got intermediates put on and then retired, or what's up with that. But he is in the pits, so at least he did it in the pits. I mean, not ideal to be on lap 2 and just give up then, but at least he did it in the pits, did it the right way.
Yeah.
Following along here with Rosie and Will Ann's here battling for the lead. Really, actually quite stretched out in some areas, more than I thought it would be here.
Yeah, and as we saw there, Will Ann's using all of the right side of the track as he can. That's kind of another line that drivers will take. They'll try to straddle the rumble strips going into turn 6. But for now, yes, a 3-second gap back to second place, but no lack of action behind third place. Teok pressuring Uncle Ben's Rice, and Humble Hippo is gone, and a full safety car. Something has miraculously happened there, and yeah, he has lost it on exit of turn 8. So that is 3 DNFs now. So your prediction of 3 DNFs wasn't wrong. I'll say that much.
Wasn't. I don't think we're done. I hope it's not a bunch, but I don't think we're done.
So early takers in the pits, Will Ann's being one of them, who was previously leading the race, has now fit the medium tires, along with his teammate of Capitano, who has also come into the pits, which is a little that's a little surprising to me. However, maybe it's just a strategy call that seemed correct, but they currently find themselves 13th and 14th. I mean, do you think that was the right choice there, stopping this early and putting on those mediums?
Unless he somewhere picked up damage, I don't know. That one's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I don't think it's the last safety car by any means, so maybe he's playing that. The softs you can probably get. Oh, what did I get? You can get, I think, 15 to 20 out of them. Roughly, they're pretty rough at the end of 20, but I just don't think it's. I think it was a little too early. I hope it works out and we have a battle with them, but very easily could be left in the back here, especially on a restart going into 1.
And yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see what kind of ace up the sleeve Will Ann's and Capitano has. That now makes the majority of the field on the medium compound, so I mean, as you see, most of the people, all of those in the top 5 right now have fitted the softs. So I'm assuming it's just a really, really large undercut, potentially, because, those medium tires are definitely going to last a lot longer than the softs. However, as you said, that's a little bit of a questionable decision, but they wouldn't have made it if they didn't know what they were doing. So, we'll just have to wait and see on that end. But meanwhile, Ben's Rice and Teok have made their way into the podium position. Soy Loco also up there, trying to notch a good result for that Racing Point team, who currently sits 7th in the standings, but a result here would do very well. His teammate Detail, however, back there in 15th, he's got a lot of work to do. But for now, Matt Rosie has the lead.
I'm going to give a shout out to Hightower there. With all the mayhem, look at him running there. 9 spots up, he's in the top 10. Clean.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like his wing is in good shape. He's our biggest mover. One thing he's good at, trying, just being patient, getting through the field. So as long as he can keep his car going straight, I think he's going to have a good finish here.
Definitely, and yeah, I mean, that was kind of what you were talking about in the beginning of the races, assuming that Hightower can keep clean going into turn 1, which he's obviously have, he could potentially make up a lot of spots, and, well, that's exactly what he's done, so hats off to Hightower there. His teammate Forza Juve up there in 5th, he's doing a pretty solid job. The Mercedes team currently sitting, as we said, 5th in the standings, have the potential to have a really solid weekend and potentially go top 3 if this result holds. I'd say the other consistent team in the field right now is the Ferrari team, currently 3rd and 7th respectively. So right now it looks like Ferrari could have a very, very impactful day, but this race is obviously far from over, so we'll just have to wait and see on that.
Hey, we only got, 49 laps to go?
Yeah, I mean, what?
Or 51, sorry. We're almost there.
Yeah, absolutely, almost there. very already. It already feels like halfway through. We've already got a Division 2. Okay, never mind. I was about to say, Will Ans threw something in the Division 2 Steward Report channel. I was like, there's no way we could already have a Steward Report. We're 6 laps in. That's got to be some sort of league record. However, the safety car is going to be coming in this lap, so in for a start here. Let's see how Matt Rosie handles this. And Best Pons has picked up 5 seconds, so I think he's just gotten into the rear end of detail there under safety car and picks up a penalty for himself. Definitely not what he wanted, and Matt Rosie severely slowing down Uncle Ben's Rice there, nearly causing a collision. And Ben's Rice is going to do everything he can to go side by side, and Will Ans picking up a 5-second penalty. What has happened here?
Got Tiak and Soy side by side going into one.
Big lock up there from Ben's Rice, losing a lot of ground, and wow, very closely contested.
Tiak takes it back. Forza diving in on him. That's what I love about this place. You can really battle.
Absolutely, and they've done it cleanly as well. I mean, very, very tightly contested there, but at the moment, Matt Rosie still has the position over Ben's Rice and Tiak. Tiak has done a good job of kind of keeping up with Ben's Rice. Maybe he's just got the better setup at the moment. I mean, he definitely looks to be keeping up with them. Forza Juve has picked up a penalty 5 seconds for what I'm not entirely sure there. Meanwhile, as we go down through the midfield, here comes Capitano trying to make the move on Hightower along his left side. It's going to be a very close one as they go down into 9 and 10, and it looks like Capitano is going to keep the position for now. Very, very closely contested. Keep the position. I think he actually got it. Never mind. Couldn't really tell from the camera angle. And in the pits comes Saffron, so hopefully not a retirement from Saffron. As whoa, what has happened to Hightower? He must have gotten hit from someone because he is way out in no man's land in turn 1.
Oh, I missed that one. He's dropped off all the way back to 15th now. That's tough.
So unfortunate.
Not the restart he wanted.
Definitely not, and he did such a good job to keep it clean and get to that position in the first place. Has to give him credit for that. However, he has fallen off significantly. Saffron was serving his penalty. That's what's happening there. But here comes Adaltonian on the end of Ray 46 as they now head down the straight here. And it looks like Adaltonian might have a good run going at Ray. He's in the slipstream throughout the entire straight. And wow, he's going to take it very cautiously going through 9 and 10. Probably the right thing to do there. And it looks like Soy may have just gotten a little bit wide on exit of 10, and now DRS is going to be activated this lap as we are 9 laps in, no shortage of action.
Oh, the camera view I got, you can just see a train of cars coming down the front stretch. They are just nose to tail. It's hard to pick where to watch even.
That's the beautiful thing about Div 2, and it's absolutely every week good battles like this nonstop. But here comes Ray 46 trying to get onto Forza Juve in 5th. I mean, I don't really see a reason why a lot of these guys picked up their 5-second penalties. The messages that I got at the bottom of the screen was ignoring the yellow flag, which I'm not entirely sure what that pertains to. And it looks like, oh, that is Niru Nix, who's gone very wide over there in turn 8. But yeah, I mean, what do you think happened for all these guys to pick up their penalties? It seems like a weird penalty to be given out.
Yeah, my best guess there was contact because it seems like they were all front back to each other when it happened. So I'm not sure, and if you pull them up, there's a couple of them that have 10 seconds on there. Pull it back up here. So yeah, we got Adaltonian and Niru both have 10 seconds. And you can't serve them on the same stop, so, without a safety car, they could be out. I mean, that could end up a lap down because of those penalties, and that's tough.
Definitely true, and meanwhile, currently, with the freshest tires in the top 10, Will Ans has made his way back into the 8th position, so he's lost a total of... Well, okay, so he was 11 spots back after his stop, so he's gained back 5 positions since the restart. So Will Ans is definitely getting back into a good spot here. As I said, the freshest tires out of anyone in the top 10. So potential good strategy call. I mean, he's got the positions for now, but here comes Forza Juve potentially trying to make move on Soy Loco as they go into one. It's going to be close, and I don't think he's going to be able to get it this time by almost making contact. Very well done to lay off there and not make any contact. That was very close for him.
Yeah, I flipped over to that right as you were talking about it, and I have to learn who's in what car again. Because I'm used to Soy in another league. He's in a Mercedes, so as you were coming up to it, I was thinking it was him in the back. You gotta pay attention to what car they're in, dang it.
Well, Juve and Soy side by side. Wow, what a battle this is.
That's a tough spot. You have to have a lot of trust in the guy next to you to be able to do that.
And Soy maybe getting a little bit too wide out of 8. He was on the rumble strips, as you said. Yeah, great crossover move from Forza Juve, still side by side. And oh, we have a yellow flag, and that is Hightower off in. Oh wow, in turn 8. Is that number 2 back there?
I
think, yeah, that he did it in that same spot in the quali, didn't he? Or well, yep. Someone did. Yeah.
Yep,
wow.
He did. And he's about in that same distance down the wall too.
Unbelievable.
He drifted it for quite a while to get there, but they got it cleaned up already, and we're back going.
If only the stewards
had realized. Just a local yellow.
Must have been. Yeah. I mean, he DNF'd, so you'd figure there would be a VSC or something, but nah, they've just gone straight back to racing. Which, no complaints. I will say, though, the top 3 starting to get spread out a lot more. Currently, the closest battle on field is Ray 46 and 8 Altonian. Ahead of them as well, Soy Loco and Forza Juve. So about 4 cars all going for this same spot here. Never mind, Will Ans is also trying to get into this battle as well. So very closely contested amongst this, 4th through 8th at the moment. Very, very tight racing. And here comes 8 Altonian trying to get to the right side of Ray 46. Both Juve and Soy Loco going a bit wide on exit of 10. Let's see who's going to get the better going into turn 1.
And it looks like Gray's going to get him. Coming out of 2, he's going to have a good run there. And with that, Will gets alongside 8 Eltonian. Oh, he takes it deep in there. Gives up the spot to Will. So Will's up to 7th now. Would you say he was 12th on the restart? 13th?
Something like that, yeah. He was about in that same spot. 8 Altonian losing, I think, 3 positions in that one, those 3 corners there. And meanwhile, here comes Will Ans. I think he may have actually just gotten to the back of Ray 46. He looked like he kind of slowed down there for a second. Very aggressive driving Will Ans is at the moment. However, very clean as well, which is always great to see. But he's definitely trying to make up as much progress as he can with his, I guess, unusual strategy. Still something that we don't know if it's going to work or not. And there goes Ray 46 a bit wide out of 10. Yeah, Will's definitely going to get the position this time by even before the DRS section. Very nicely done from Will as he's up to 6th now.
8 Eltonian's going to take a look on the outside of Ray. Oh, if I can get back there.
Oh, and wait, hang on. Valentine has just gotten into Niru Nix and has gone very, very wide on exit of turn 1. Doesn't look like he had any damage, but those two have been battling for a couple laps now, and I had actually wondered last lap if they did make contact. It would appear now they have. Ahead of them, Capitano is going to get around Niru Nix, and does Niru Nix potentially have wing damage? Side by side they go. Valentine, I think, almost lost the car there. He really tried to dive in at Niru Nix, and almost cost himself a lot of positions.
Niru's got no damage. Valentine's got the left side end plates knocked off. So it'd be interesting to see what Valentine does here. He's on 13 lap old mediums. Kind of early to pit on those, but how well can he hold it with that wing damage? And looks like he's just going to keep jogging along.
Might as well. I mean, he's got nothing to lose at this point. We also do want to mention this apparently is going to be one of Valentine's last races for, I guess, the foreseeable future, something happening with him, so we wish him the best of luck with whatever is going on with him. Very sad to see as well, because he is a definitely talented driver. But here comes Niru Nix and Capitano end to end here as they now go into the DRS section. One of the closest battles on field. We have a yellow flag in sector 1. That is going to be, I believe, Spool and Dub who's gone off, but we're going to stick along with this battle for now. And yeah, nice move there from Niru to get the spot.
My timing's all messed up right now.
Oof. Meanwhile,
It
Nero
says
has picked up
Forza-
3
It says
seconds.
Forza's only 3/100ths behind Tiak.
And it says
But
Tiok on my screen there for a second said he was lapped down, so, interesting.
oh, there we go,
Um,
caught up now.
of all
5
the
seconds.
things they do nice with this game, they can't get the timing right in multiplayer, can they?
Yeah.
Other than that, solid game, but that every time this is. Another big battle here, Valentine going back at it with Nero Nix, getting the position for now, though he's going to have to go a little bit wider in one. Side by side again between these two drivers. Nero did pick up the 3 seconds for track limits and almost got into Valentine again. It's still side by side between these two.
Definitely. They're making Valentine earn this one. Actually, he doesn't have any wing damage. He just went by on us. From the angle I saw earlier, it looked like he did. Oh, and a little
he
bit of
might now.
contact between him and Miru. Oh, it's still on there.
Wow, that is a Kevlar end plate for sure. That is not breaking at this moment in time. That
This
is
is definitely not a realistic Haas. It would have fallen apart by now.
well, yeah, it probably fallen. It would have fallen apart 16 laps ago.
These two battling though. They brought El Capitano and Pons into this race too. So we're gonna have a 4-pack heading down the front stretch.
Meanwhile, Will Ann's overtaking Soy Loco going in the corner. Maybe a little bit of contact there. Soy Loco, I saw Will Ann's hand get flown up in the air in his seat as I jumped along with it, but he finds himself up into 4th. What a drive from Will Ann so far. I mean, the strategy was a big question mark there, but it looks like he's doing an absolutely brilliant job making up for any ground loss, and we are going to go back to this battle, this 4-car battle here. We got Valentine, Niru, Best Pons, and Capitano. Capitano starting to maybe trail Best Pons a little bit, but again, it's going to be down to whoever doesn't make the mistakes, and it looks like, for now, it's still very even.
Yeah, I stayed on with them while you flipped over to that one, and they came out of 1 2x2, and they went all the way through 3 2x2, and then exited. Then they started separating a little bit. Just some good race, and there was no contact or anything, so good to see. Typical Div 2 is what we expect from these guys.
Typical Div 2 indeed. Now that is Forza Juve coming into the pits now, and he is going to be fitting. Oh, he's serving a penalty, it seems, because he's just came in, kind of sat there for a second, now put on this soft compound, so interesting stuff there. Meanwhile, that battle's still going on. Best Pons nearly lost it on exit 1, getting very much wheel spin going through 2. At the moment, Valentine does have the spot up through the field a little bit more. Here's Adel Tonian trying to battle Ray 46. I feel like these two have also been battling for a considerable amount of time now.
Yeah, there's tons of battles going on everywhere.
Very closely contested, which is what we anticipated, and very happy to see, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I know that divisional race, I side by side with Mystic for like 15 laps. Definitely entertaining. Like I say, this track is the best of the shorts, I think. I think it's the funnest one, the best racing.
Easily. I don't think there's any contest there amongst any of the other short circuits. I know USA Short was the only other one that was kind of feasible to use, aside from the fact that the chicane, I guess in Sector 2 on that circuit, gives you time penalties every time you go through there. But here's Best Pons round the right side of Niru Nix, still side by side. These two battling yet again. It looks like Valentine has, for now, jumped out to a little bit of a cushion behind that 9th place of Best Pons, and Pons eventually getting around Niru Nix. Capitano looks to be kind of creeping in now. Oh, Niru doesn't have DRS. So Best Pons got around him before the DRS straight and made the overtake stick. Very nicely done from him.
Oh, and now Capitano just stuck it in there right next to him. Next to Niru. Backed off, though. Smart call there. Not the place to do it, not the timing. Still got 37 laps to go here. You don't want to be ripping wings off yet.
And meanwhile, VTech is now starting to creep up on this battle as well. So it looks like Forza was the only one to come in right now, I guess, to get rid of that penalty. He thought this was the right time to do it. And so he's come in. He finds himself in 14th. But, I mean, still probably close enough to pick up a couple positions here. But anyways, here's Niru still trying to wear down Best Pons as they now go through turn 3 and 4. Wow, Best Pons got really wide, nearly taking the wall with him. on exit of turn 4. They're very, very close to that. And here comes Niru along the left-hand side of Best Pawns, making the overtake happen. Very nicely done.
Definitely, and this 3-car battle is the reason we like this track here. The reason it got put here. It's fun to watch. Almost speechless sitting here watching this. I keep zoning out watching it. Like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to talk about it too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things. It's just so much is happening. Wow, Capitano had a lot of wheel spin coming out of turn 9 there, but side by side between these two, at the moment, Capitano really getting past Best Pawns, who Best Pawns is on 17 lap old softs. Niru is on 20 lap old soft tires, so definitely the softs started to get to the end of their lifespan. But so this might be. Will Ann's actually probably made a really solid choice here. He's on the 16-lap mediums. Oh, there goes Best Pawns into the end of Capitano, and now opening the door for VTEC, who VTEC is now taking the position, and I believe Best Pawns, I'd be surprised if he didn't take up any wing damage from that. Wow, he hasn't. He really just went into the rear end of Capitano. He absolutely shunted him.
Apparently these cars are built tough today.
Apparently so. Who would have thought? Not me, that's for sure. But VTEC now.
Valentine's opened it up. He's 2.2 out now in front of Niru. Just checked out on him while they're racing each other. He's going to get himself an advantage. Try to get himself caught back up to 8 Altoni and maybe battle. He's at 3 seconds right now. It was about a half lap ago. He was at about 3.5, so he's definitely cutting the time down on him. Hopefully he can get up there and challenge him. I would imagine 8 Altonian's got to be sliding around on the... He's on 21 lap old softs. We got, it looks like 6 of them on 21 lap old softs. That's about the end. If they go any further, I would imagine we're going to see either a one-stop medium or one-stop hard. I mean, mediums would be a stretch, but hards are doable.
Definitely, and we just saw there Capitano picked up 3 seconds for going off battling with Niru, which I'm guessing is a lot of the reason why we're... Oh, and Capitano's gotten into Niru, and Niru's really gone off. Wow, and that was...
Knocked the rear wheel off.
And Capitano really just kind of shunted Niru there. That didn't look like that big of a hit, and then Niru... I guess maybe hit the curb on exit of turn 7 and just completely lost the car. That was unprecedented, how big of an impact that was.
From the angle I had, it looked like he got hit, was sliding, and just overcorrected, and it snapped back on him. Definitely had a decent angle of it. It was head on with it. Like I say, it just looked like it snapped back on him and shot off the track. Once you're on that ride, you're not getting off. But it only brought a virtual safety car.
An absolute drama happening here in this race. I mean, Renault was on pace to have a pretty solid day as well. One of the teams who were putting in consistent results, they did so last weekend at Canada. I mean, this could really shake up the constructors as well. I know we're only one race in, but still, that could be something massive right there for sure.
Well, that's a big difference this season. It's only a 12-race season, so you have one bad race, it can really get you. It's tough to come back from that. That's why I think consistency was, like we were talking earlier, that's the key. With only 12 races, you got to do it while you can.
Absolutely, and meanwhile, it would appear that Benz Rice could possibly start feeling pressure from Teoc soon enough. Mind you, the top 3 still have yet to pit. All of them currently on the soft tires, so I would say about half and half on who's pit and who hasn't at the moment. Saffron has made 2 stops as well as Best Pawns, but surely those guys who are on those soft tires, especially in the top 3, definitely feeling it now. 23 laps. I mean, that's in the range of the medium tires, not necessarily the softs, and they are trying to make them stick as long as they can. But you also got to think, this isn't one of those tracks where you can keep position on pit stops. No, if you have to take your pit stops at the right moment to not lose any ground, and it looks like, as I say that, the top 3 finally deciding to pit, so Will Ans is going to inherit the lead with his what we thought was an oddball strategy to go onto the medium tires has now paid off, and he takes the lead.
Definitely, and then he's gonna have Ray following him. I was just looking here, Ray and VTech both. Oh, Ray, Valentine, and VTech, all 10 spots up. Oh, keep it going. VTech's up to 12 spots up now from his starting spot. Um, I think some of those guys that pit at that early safety car might actually have pulled something off here that's going to be good. Just depends what tires did they go on. It looks like mediums. Yep, looks like Matt went on to mediums. Uncle Ben, yeah, they're all on mediums. So I'm gonna say they're going to a medium and they're gonna stop one more and go softs at the end. Because let's see, you're looking at about 33, 34 laps on those mediums. That's tough.
Yeah, that would definitely be a task to complete. And as we saw there, Valentine last lap picking up the 3 seconds, trying to defend from Matt Rosie, getting shoved kind of into turn 2 onto the curbing there. And it looks like Matt Rosie's going to get past Valentine again. Though the only thing I'm a little concerned about with our guys on the medium tires, currently trying to make them stretch, that being Will Ans, Ray, 46, Valentine, Capitano, and VTech, all kind of in that 20-lap range at that moment, as well as Detail. But I'm just a little bit concerned of how many positions they're going to lose when they do decide to come into pit. I mean, it looks like Matt Rosie is still within 10 seconds on the leader at the moment, and Ray is probably going to have to come in soon as well. So, I mean, I don't see Will Ans and Ray making up that much ground on some of these guys with the fresher mediums. It was either a blessing in disguise or just a swing and a miss, potentially. I'm not really sure what to call this.
Well, I think it's going to come down at the end to how far they can stretch those mediums, and if a safety car were to come out, in the next 5 laps, it could be a savior for him again. It could be a curse too. It's tough to say, but you got Ray, Valentine, and VTech all haven't pit yet, so you'd imagine they got to be coming in here soon.
I mean, yeah.
26 laps.
I mean, how long does it take to get down from one end to the pits to the other? It's probably, 26 seconds at least. That's about the average, what it normally is. That's just kind of my guess. So with that, they're probably going to get dropped down to 11th at the moment. Again, as we said, Will Ans has not made up nearly enough ground to keep his position significantly, as we see Benz Rice getting in alongside Capitano as they go through 7 and 8. Capitano has it at the moment, though Benz Rice still there in the slipstream. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure, especially because of how long the pit stops take. This is a decently... it's not the longest pit straight, but it's definitely not the shortest either. It's definitely going to be something where that could be a problem for sure. And it looks like Matt Rosie overtaking Ray. And who's that there? That looks like Adaltonian, who's gone off inside turn 8, and along with him, Best Pons. So 2 cars going off there, and Best Pons is missing a significant amount of his front wing. Adaltonian looks okay, though, at the moment.
Oh, I just picked up a penalty.
Well, as I say that,
but
looks okay at the moment.
The thing I've noticed here is, as I'm looking at it, a lot of these guys with that haven't pit yet are sitting with 5-second penalties. They're going to go in and pit and have to serve a 5-second on top of it. So, yeah, definitely. I don't think they're going to lose quite a bit. I think as long as it stays green, I think it's going to be a big chunk that they're going to lose here.
And yeah, definitely. And so quick little thing here, if I remember to edit this in, I'm going to go ahead and magically, with the power of post-production editing, I'm going to throw in Adaltonian's footage right now.
God damn it. God damn it.
Okay, so presumably I've picked up both his audio and his replay at that point in time, because that's actually what I did last week at Canada when he had the incident with Soy Loco, which I thought was fun, but so yeah, that could potentially be something. As Benz Rice and Valentine. Whew. Closely contested there, as you were saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm on right now, is Valentine goes wide there. Probably, I would imagine, picked up a warning there as Uncle Ben to get around him, though. Those fresher mediums are definitely going to be quicker for him. He's got 25 laps fresher. And I don't know how long these guys can go on these. I'm amazed they're still going on them. I would imagine at this point they're trying to get, if those other guys took, 22, 23 laps on them soft, so I'd imagine they're going to try to get into that range.
And so an interesting ability of mine as one of the moderators of this league is to be able to see all the team chats, and Best Pawns throwing shade, saying, quote unquote, yeah, don't ask me to fill in for D2 again. They are so dirty, comma, made me remember why I asked to be dropped down. So Best Pawns definitely not happy with what's happened there. He's ended up having to retire in the pits, so not the day that he wanted for sure, but again, he is a reserve, so it couldn't have hurt him that much. However, I mean, for the most part, this has been a pretty solid race. Yeah, we've got 2, 4, 6 DNFs, but it's been a pretty solid race so far. Very good battling. We're allowed to have one-off races where some people DNF. It's all good.
Yeah, that's expected. The DNFs I'm not surprised by. I'm also not surprised by the good racing, too. They're kind of one in their own. Looks like Valentine just left the session. I'm going to hop on and send him an invite quick, so go ahead and fill in.
Well, he's just coming into the pits now. He's filling in his 5-second penalty. As you said, has apparently left the session. I'm not really sure what's gone on there. Currently sitting 11th. He wasn't in a bad spot necessarily. Just decided it was time to pit from the mediums, go on to the soft, get rid of that penalty as well. But as we look up into the field more, we got Tiok and Forza Juve starting to close in on each other. Forza Juve having a pretty solid day, though. He's on those 12-lap-old softs now. He's going to try to make those stick as long as he can. Definitely going to try to make a move on Tiok eventually, though Tiok on much faster tires at the 5-lap-old mediums. Will Ans still has yet to pit, and that gap back to second place now, almost within 5 seconds. So I tell you what, this is going to be an interesting one for Will Ans, just to see what he's going to do. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to make those last. Ray 46 has made it to 31 laps, as well as his Red Bull teammate of VTEC has also made it to 41 laps. And as we look at the gap between from the leader back, it looks like if Will was to pit now, he'd drop potentially down to 9th or 10th. So he's definitely going to want to pit soon as to not lose any more spots, as the further you do get back, the more fresher tires they start to be on. Though here comes Tiok and Juve once again. Juve finally getting the spot. Nicely done there. I believe that was going through turn 6. He made the move and then eventually made it stick, go through 7. So nicely done from him.
Definitely, yeah. Looking at what Ray's got on those tires, I would say that Matt Rosie is shooting to go to the end here. He'd be right at that 32 lap mark, close to. But I really, honestly, I think we're gonna get caught with another safety car or something here towards the end, and I think that'd be what really it comes down to. That's what happened in that divisional race. Thought it was gonna run to the end, and then was it like 8 to go, a safety car, and that just changed the whole race. So we can think what we want, but I think that's gonna ultimately be what it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that late safety car was a complete just wrench thrown into everyone's plans. I remember you in particular went for the one stop going onto the hards, and we were all thinking that could have been a very dangerous position to begin with, never mind the safety car being thrown in. But I tell you what, it doesn't look like at the moment we're going to have that same drama, though you never know. It's very possible. But this pack is starting to get spread out just a little bit more, though we do have Benz Rice trying to make the move on Ray 46 now for the 3rd spot. It's going to be very close here as Ray is starting to get, a lot slower on those 33-lap-old mediums, as Benz Rice is clearly, I think, outpacing him on those 8-lap-old mediums.
He's not going to give that spot up easy, though. Coming through 3 and 4 there. Heading onto the straight, he'll have a shot at him. He'll definitely have the DRS, but ultimately, I think by turn 1, he's definitely going to be out of DRS range at that point.
And now Matt Rosie has shrunken the gap up to first place to 2.5 seconds. Meanwhile, the gap back to third is nearly 10 seconds. So a big difference between second and third. But then once you go on back, I mean, a lot of battles going on here. These 4 cars of Benz Rice, Ray 46, Juve, and Tiok all starting to get within a very close gap of each other, and it looks like Ray 46 finally making the decision to come in and pit from those 34 lap old medium tires. And here comes Tiok around the right side of Juve. These two have been battling for quite some time, and it looks like Tiok is going to make the move for now, though I'm not entirely sure that's going to be the last of we see between these two drivers.
Definitely not. They've been going at it for probably about 5 laps here. Forza got around him, and I thought he was going to get away. Tiok's just not going to give up, gets the spot back. And Forza's right on his tail, just doesn't have enough coming down that DRS straight. Oh, and he slides out a little bit. That's going to open the gap up. He's got right at about 8/10 now. Hopefully he can stay in DRS for the front stretch and have a shot at him. At least catch him back up a little bit. As of now, that's about the only battle VTech and A Deltonian right now are coming through 3-4 onto the backstretch here. VTech will have the DRS. They're trailing Spulin, but they're about 1.5 seconds back.
Meanwhile, Capitano and Ray starting to get closer together. Both of these cars have just pit, both on fresh, soft compounds. This is probably going to be one of the better battles to watch in the field. But hang on just a second. We have a potential battle for the lead here between Matt Rosie and Will Ants. I mean, definitely Will is starting to feel the effects of those medium tires, 31 laps old. And Matt Rosie definitely going to be overtaking him soon. I think would lead me to believe as that's definitely a difference in tire wear there, and Will's just trying to maybe shake the slipstream for now, but as they go into 9 and 10, Matt Rosie probably going to get the DRS this time by. Will Ans is going to pit. Wow, that was a little close there for a second. I really thought that could potentially be an incident, as he really got wide in 10 and then immediately cut back onto the circuit. But I guess we're going to look and see where Will comes out of the pits. He actually may have been backed up there by Ray for a second. And, it looks like Will's going to serve his penalty, potentially. Sat there for a bit longer.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. If you have the 5 second from those, they always make
he had a 5 second. Oh, I thought he had a 3 second for a second there. Did not know
but
that.
Actually, he's not. He's only going to drop back probably 7th right here.
And he's fit the softs as well, so he could. You think he could go the whole way on softs easily, right?
Yeah. We've already seen they can go 20, 21 laps on the softs. Get to the end of the race, he's not going to have the grip. Say if Matt Rosie were to come in towards the end and put softs on, I think he runs away with it. I think at this point we're looking at Matt Rosie's going to hold this. As long as he doesn't have issues, I think that's who we're looking at.
Meanwhile,
Forza's back on the back of Tiok.
And this is surprising to me a little bit. And there he goes. I was just about to say, he's on 18-lap-old soft tires. Surely he'll be losing some ground. And finally, as I don't want to say it a curse, but what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of luck that goes into being a commentator. As soon as I jump on with that, he happens to pit and throw on a fresh pair of mediums. And it looks like Will Ans is going to get that 5th spot. So I tell you what, we were questioning Will Ans' decision with making the medium stretch that long. If he notches a top 5 out of it, that'd be a really solid day for him, tell you what.
Yeah, definitely. Details running around on 35-lap-old mediums. You'd imagine he's coming in soon. Will's about 10 seconds back. I'd imagine he can get himself to Soy with those fresher softs. Once he gets there, though, that's going to be the tough part. Soy does have the penalty. Let's see here. That's a 3 second. So ultimately, he's only 7 seconds behind. I think he can get there and keep within that range, looking at a P4 then. But I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if a couple of these front guys come in towards the end and throw softs on, try to put down a fast lap, and by that time Will will be worn out. And let's see, he would, because if Matt Rosie comes in now, he's 26 seconds up, and Will just sets a fast lap right there at a 1 minute .054.
That is the fastest lap of the race on those fresh, soft tires. I want to throw into the mix here Teok and Benz Rice. Teok slowly starting to creep down within a second. Surely, I mean, they're on the same age of medium tires, but Teok has been showing pace today. He's been able to catch up with Benz Rice pretty much this entire race. I remember watching that earlier and being like, well, you know, he's really just kind of sticking along in there, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, Capitano and Ray 46, the closest battle on the field at the moment. That isn't lead lap versus back marker like we see Detail and VTEC. As we see here, tire life, I mean, Ray is on a lap younger tire than Capitano, but it doesn't look like the gap is getting that much smaller. I mean, this is going to be something to watch, but, I mean, as we wind down in this race, we still have, 17 to go. Goodness me, I thought we had so much less than that. It feels like forever. This is what we were talking about.
Yep.
This is what we were talking about.
You're like, oh, I'm getting towards the end, and it's like, oh, I'm not even close yet.
Yeah, and we were talking about in the beginning, you know, how mentally draining is this race going to be? Well, I have just accidentally called the race by 17 laps, so I mean, it can't get much worse than that. But I mean, meanwhile, we have a battle between the two Haas drivers here. Spool and Dub making his way around Valentine, not necessarily with ease, though very nicely done from Spool and Dub, and it looks like Valentine is going to kind of start slipping away here, though he does have the DRS. He's on those 8-lap-old soft tires, so it might be a little bit tricky for him to continue making up that spot. Meanwhile, Ray still trying his best to get to the back of Capitano. He's now shrunken that gap within 0.7 of a second, and it looks like he's trying to use as much overtake as he can down that straight, which I'm honestly a little surprised with there's not DRS there, to be honest, but you know, it's whatever. Here comes Ray.
Yeah, I think Valentine's still out of the session. He never did get back in.
Really? Yikes.
Yep, I just jumped on there as you were talking about it, and I noticed he's still X'd out, so, you know, he's just kind of floating along there. VTEC will probably catch him up and pass him pretty quickly. As Spoolin picks up a 3-second. I was just looking, though, the 3 seconds, you know, the corner cutting penalties are pretty low. Not a lot of those, it was just the safety car ones I got everybody today.
So surely not me looking into the Discord again to see any juicy happenings going on, and it looks like Valentine has got a severe problem. So he's talking about... Okay, so it would appear here that Domingos and Valentine are going at it for whatever happened on the start. I think Domingos... Were they the ones that got into each other? Because Domingos got DNF'd on the start. Meanwhile, in the pits now, VTEC and Soy Loco coming in. But it doesn't look like those two drivers are happy with each other whatsoever. Lots of words I can't say legally on... well, I mean, we try to keep this PG. It doesn't really matter on YouTube, but obviously try to keep it nice.
From my view, that was a Racing Point and a Ferrari that got into it. And that's what shot across and got Domingos. I don't know which Racing Point or Ferrari, but off my stream you should be able to see it pretty well from the view I had, and that it was just one of those things where they got into it and it shot one across the track and he was just right there. I mean, nowhere he could go, obviously, and that hard of a hit you're going to be done for.
Capitano making his way past Detail. Detail, 40 lap old medium tires this way around. That's incredible how long he's made those laps. That is the whole race but 3 laps. That is absolutely incredible stuff there by Detail.
At this point he needs to go in and just throw some softs on, and because I don't think he can go another 14 laps on those 15 laps. I just think he would have a puncture. I mean, at this point, go and get some softs, put in some fast laps, and get what you can.
It definitely. I mean, he's not got that much to lose realistically. I mean, I don't think he's going to lose that many positions. Maybe 3 at the most. But even then, I mean, might as well throw on the softs, try to get him back, maybe try to have some fun with it, and put something on the highlight reel. But Detail getting overtaken by Ray 46, and meanwhile that gap between second and third has kind of stayed stagnant around that 2-second mark. Still a lot of time left, but as you notice, all three drivers in the top three currently all on the same age of medium tire. Meanwhile, Will Ann's still trying his best to potentially get back at them. He's got a big gap to overcome to get to third. However, you never know. I mean, still the 6-lap-old soft tire, still got a bit of pace in him. He might make it happen, but he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think even if he gets to him, he's not gonna. His tires are gonna be shot. I mean, theirs aren't gonna be great, but the softs, when they go, they're gone. The mediums at least hold on a little bit. Even if he cuts it down, I mean, he's looking at having to cut a second a lap just to get to Tiak, pretty much, and I just don't think he's gonna do that.
Well, speaking of Tiak, I may have spoken a little too soon, because as I said last lap, that gap between second and third was around the 2-second mark. It is now dropped down to 7/10. I'm not sure what's happened to Ben's Rice for him to lose that much amount of time, but he is now suddenly under pressure from Tiak.
Definitely, that's the closest battle on the track right now, and you know, you're great to be on the podium. It's always better to be one step up, though. I think we're going to see a battle down here to the end. Hopefully keep it clean, get some good racing, and we can... Because right now, that's the only one going on, so...
Well, absolutely, but I think I want to throw this out. It looks like AlphaTauri at the moment is going to have the best day. At the moment, they sit 6th in the Constructors' Championship. Granted, not that far behind at 32 points, while obviously the team in first with the Williams at 55. Of course, Matt Rossi out to a commanding lead at the moment, so that's going to help a little bit. But AlphaTauri could potentially jump a couple spots in this Constructors' Championship if the result holds. Despite the somewhat bold tire strategy that Will Ann's was putting on, it's definitely paid off for him because they're having a very solid day.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I think Will gave up a couple spots by doing that. I think he was a solid P2 today if he stayed on the same strategy. But either way, it's a good battle back. Hopefully, you know, and looking at it, he's actually dropped another second since we were last talking about that. You know, I think he's looking at a P4. Still a good day, but I think he gave up a couple spots there. And ultimately, I honestly think that could be valuable points at the end of the season.
Yeah, I tell you what, but either way, a second and a fourth place in the first two races of the season, that is definitely a desirable position, though it's definitely not nearly as good as back-to-back wins as it looks like Matt Rossi, unless he makes some sort of comically ridiculous error. It looks like he might have this win wrapped up. However, this battle for second is still far from over, and now they have the added bonus of Detail, who's just come out of the pits. He might potentially get in the way of Ben's Rice, or he might be giving him a tow here. It's going to be very close to see. Wow, this is close here.
He actually got the DRS from him, so I think that's going to actually help Uncle Ben here for the next lap or two, and Detail is going to probably pull away because he's got the fresh sauce. It's not like he's a slouch by any means, and actually he's going to pull over. He's going to heel to the blue flag. I think he could have actually pulled away and not had to worry about it, but good on him. You know, it's good to see that there's a lot of guys that wouldn't do that.
Absolutely. I mean, any time that I've been racing, that is a huge pet peeve of mine when you know, back markers don't get out of the way. But here's Ben's Rice bringing the slipstream back to Tiak all the way down to the pit wall. I'm sure some of the pit board holders have nearly gotten their hands chopped off with how close that was down to the inside wall. And now how close this battle is getting, within 0.4 of a second. And now as they go into the DRS straight, Tiak could potentially have a run here. And he's going to choose to maybe take a wide entry into 6. Oh, it's still closely contested.
Yeah, I think he's setting him up to get him on the front stretch. Be real tight on him coming out of this second back stretch and get the DRS and get him on the front. That's honestly the best way to get him around here. You can try sticking it into some of those spots, but it's just ultimately you can get such a run down here with DRS that if you have the patience to do it, that's the way to do it. And we'll see how Uncle Ben will defend it here as they come down front stretch. And he takes him to the outside. Let's see what he can do here down into one. Side by side still. Good and clean. Looks like he clears him.
Very nicely done there from Tiak, and obviously that battle has been going on for quite some time. I'm sure Tiak is definitely relieved that he's finally gotten that overtake done at the moment. However, Ben's Rice now starting to close in. He's got the DRS as well. This battle is still far from over. However, nicely done from Tiak, but still very close, and this battle is not over yet.
Yeah, I definitely think Uncle Ben must have been listening to us and heard me call him out that he wasn't going to get a podium. Either way, he's getting one here. Their battle, though, Will did close up a couple seconds on him there during their battle, but with coming to 6-7 to go. Yep. Nope, 8 to go, so. And these 8 will go pretty quick. It's not like the first 50 of them.
Side by side again, and Ben's Rice got a lot of wheel spin going through turn 1 there and lost the position in the end. Tiak, I mean, still under pressure. Ben's Rice got a big wiggle there coming through 4 and 5. Not exactly the best couple corners there for Ben's Rice. He could have lost a little bit of time, though at the moment he's still trying to hold it in there as best he can. Very nice driving from these two. Side by side it was going into turn 1. Nicely done from both of them to not wreck each other and make this make it a little more stressful.
Yeah, definitely. I was just noticing Saffron's on 40-lap old hards. He's pushed them things to the end, see how much he can get out of them. But he has closed in a little bit on 8 Eltonian in that time, so looks like those could be working out for him.
And Saffron has had himself one interesting day as well. Started off by jumping the start. Meanwhile, Ben's Rice getting past Tiak at the moment. Let's see if he can make it stick. It's still side by side through 2. How Tiak didn't pick up a penalty going over the curbing in 2 is a mystery to me. However, it looks like Ben's Rice has got it for now. Though, as I was saying, Saffron has had himself one interesting day. Spent a lot of the time down. That is definitely.
From Uncle Ben.
That is a solid move there from Tiak. I don't know why my recording mysteriously saved there. Oh yeah, that's right, because we're 5 minutes later in a race that we normally would be, so hopefully that is a seamless transition. But anyways, yeah, so Saffron had a solid recovery. Still ends up losing 2 spots from his initial start, but I tell you what, that was a pretty good recovery from him. Spoolin and VTech picking up 5. Ray 46 is up 5 spots as well, so pretty solid day from him. And at the moment, Tiak under pressure again from Ben's Rice, and Ben's Rice shot like a rocket up the inside to Tiak, and he's got the position. Absolutely marvelous battling this is between the two guys.
Yeah, this is back and forth. This reminds me of the battle I had with Mystic during the divisional race. Just back and forth, side by side through the corners. I mean, good clean racing.
What more else could you ask for? That is for sure, and that is what D2 week in and week out has to offer. I mean, that's one of the best. I think a lot of people sleep on this division, whether it be because, you know, my internet doesn't allow me to stream it, yada yada, but I think this is definitely one of the more exciting divisions we have to offer, and that excitement will continue, maybe not in the way that most people hope for, because next week we go to Monaco. So it's going to be the race of who crashes the least. So, you know, that might be fun.
Yeah, it'd be real interesting. As I always say about Monaco, it's the survival battle. As Tiak takes another look on the inside, going into one again. Here we go, they're side by side, and Tiak gets him cleared. Uncle Ben's will drop back into 3rd. Yet another lap, another change.
Very
in the
nicely
meantime,
done there.
Matt Rosie's just pulled away now. He's almost 15 seconds out. Just dominating. I think we're going to have to vote him up to D1. I don't know.
We might have to, honestly. It's looking like that. I mean, in fairness, into the qualifying session, it was pretty closely contested. I mean, it was 0.2 of a second until Matt Rosie made his final go at the pole and ended up blowing everyone else out of the water. I mean, definitely a potential for a Div 1 candidate here very shortly, for sure. And it looks like Benz Rice still trying to make the move on Tiak. Will Ans has chopped off another couple seconds, though still 8.5 seconds to go. I think fourth is almost certainly mathematically locked up for him at this point. Meanwhile, here comes Saffron trying to make the move on Adaltonian, but more importantly, Benz Rice and Tiak still battling again. This is for second place. This is a solid battle.
Definitely, and they're going to go side by side. Oh, and Tiak just edges him out. I thought for sure they were going side by side there, too. But it looks like Uncle Ben will have the DRS coming down the back stretch, and he's going to set him up, I think, for another front stretch pass going into one. Well, I think we're on, what, 6 straight now?
Easily. Yeah, easily at this point.
Yeah, the Williams team's too bad with the 1st and 10th. That's pretty good. Maybe even a 9th out of Saffron. That's good points for them. So, you know, the AlphaTauri are going to gain. They're going to move up, but I don't know how much they're actually going to gain on Williams. I think they jump up a couple spots in the standings, though.
Yeah, and I tell you what, this next week, as we see Benz Rice again getting an overtake on Tiak, I mean, this is a little ridiculous at this point almost. But I think next week, when we do go to Monaco, as Tiak and Benz Rice still side by side again, please don't hit each other. And there goes Benz Rice, picking up 3 seconds as he goes over the curb. And I give him credit, because that's kind of what he had to do in order to not wreck there. He did not have the best line going into the corner. It was probably better for him to just take the 3 seconds instead of, you know, spinning and making the situation even worse for himself, though I don't think that's going to stop him from battling Tiak whatsoever.
No. I think you'll see Tiak back off a little bit here. I don't know that he's going to throw it in, but next to him here going into one. I think he's just going to sit back and enjoy his P2 with the penalty. You know, it kind of sucks. It'd be cool to see a last lap battle, but at this point you got to take what you can get. I mean, they go battling and make contact, and he throws that away. That's a tough one.
It looks like Saffron finally getting around to Adaltonian there for the 9th position. Solidly done for them. So what I was going to bring up before, well, not rudely interrupted by the best battle of the season so far, but interrupted by the best battle of the season so far. Do you think next week at Monaco is definitely going to be that race where we look at it and we say, okay, whatever team has the best weekend, we think that's going to be the favorite to win the Constructors' Championship?
There's a good chance of that. I think right now, team's got to focus on unseating Matt up front. You know, because he's making the biggest point haul every week at this rate, and somebody's got to take the win, and I think that ultimately is going to be huge for a team. And if he has an issue at Monaco, yeah, definitely whoever comes out ahead there is going to be who we're looking at.
For sure, and as Matt Rosie starts his final lap around the Bahrain circuit, I mean, there's been no doubt that he is he's definitely a Div 1 candidate. I think there was even some people saying that last season as well, that he was just kind of putting on that much of a show, as we saw Benz Rice there maybe getting a little bit of tire spin at that moment in time. So it's still a close battle between these two. But yeah, I think definitely Matt Rosie definitely going to be the favorite to go up into Div 1 next. Though Uncle Ben's Rice, Tiak, and Will Ans, all of these guys not that far behind in that battle respectively, though they are far behind at the moment to Matt Rosie, who is going to absolutely cruise his way down the pit straight, and he's going to take the win here in Bahrain at the short circuit. Absolutely dominating performance again from Matt Rosie. Very well done.
Definitely. You're going to have Uncle Ben roll in P2 with Tiak right behind him, but due to a penalty, it'll go Tiak P2. And Will cut it down. He's down to about 7 seconds on to third, and you know, good job on him getting back up to P4. I'm still sticking with I think he threw too many points away.
Yeah,
it's only 2 places, but man, with what Matt Rose is doing right now, you can't give up anything. So I think that one. Other than that, you know, it's good to see. And honestly, it looks like for the hard charger points today, we have 3 drivers who are tied for it with 5 places, with that Ray in 7th, Spoolin in 12th, and VTech in 13th. All picked up 5 places, so good job to them. Barring any stewards reports or anything, those guys would pick up a point each.
Definitely, and as you were saying, with throwing away some points for Will Ans there, the points. I think the point structure is a little bit different this year. So any position lost and gained actually means something to these drivers, and definitely Will Ans losing, he definitely lost his podium that he could have earned there. Matt Rossi definitely deserving that win. Tiak and Benz Rice also very deserved to be on that podium. But Will Ans, I think, definitely could have and should have been up there as well. Risky strategy call ended up not really paying off in the end.
Yeah, I think he definitely would have had a battle with him there. I think he had a shot at Matt. He showed early on there before the pit, those first couple laps, he was right there, took the lead even, and I think he took away from the battle right there. Tried to play the smart way, and sometimes that'll burn you trying to overthink things.
Right, well, if you want to do me the absolute honor of, you can actually run down the order if you'd like, or you can go ahead and
Go ahead.
invite the guys to the party, because I know you like to do that. Matt Rossi finishing in first, followed by Tiak, Benz Rice, and Will Ans, your top four. Forza Juve fifth, Capitano in sixth, Ray 46 in seventh, Soy Loco eighth, Saffron City ninth, Detail in 10th, Adel Tony in 11th, Spool and Dub in 12th, 13th is VTech, 14th is Valentine, 15th is Best Pawns, 16th round is Niru Nix, 17th Hightower, 18th Humble Hippo, 19th T&E Highway, and then rounding out the field in 20th is Domingos. Very unfortunate day there for the McLaren team. Yet another race without picking up points. Very unfortunate stuff there, but very well deserved to our podium finishers, who we will get in here for interviews very shortly. Right, so me and Monkey, we are here with 2 out of the 3 podium finishers, plus Will Ans that finished in 4th. We figured he'd bring him in. He's always willing to do the interview as well. So I'll start with Will. We were really questioning your decision to come in under the safety car there for the tire. It wasn't the worst result you could have had, but definitely kind of lost some positions you could have had. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think you made the right call?
I am stupid. Yeah, it's like it's muscle memory at this point. You see the yellow come up and swerve into the pits. And I was like, why did I just do that?
Oh, so that was an impulse decision. That wasn't like planned.
Well, we were literally, me and Matt Rosie were on the exit of the last corner when it got called out. So it was just, yeah, I should have stayed out in hindsight, but yeah, I was fighting for P1, ended up only getting P4, but still not a bad result.
Yeah, not a bad result at all, but if it makes you feel better, I think AlphaTauri definitely having the best day, the most consistent day out of all our teams here. Matt Rossi obviously taking the win, his teammate Saffron getting P9, which is not too bad, but you and Capitano right there, right next to each other. But next week, you ready for this one? We're going to Monaco next week. How do you feel about that?
Excited and terrified in equal measure. It's going to be fun. Yeah, just try and keep it out of the wall and you're on for a podium, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the goal there. Monk, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's about all. You kind of capped it off. We just had the discussion about that pit stop, and knowing that you swore in your head as you did it, that's kind of what I was wondering if that happened. So it's a tough one, but at least you got back to P4. Good drive on that. Wheeling through traffic, you did a damn good job with that.
Yeah, thanks. And GG Matt Rosie, by the way. Good job.
Thank you. GG.
Well done to Will Ans. Hopefully we hear from you again next week if you do decide to finish on the podium, which anything can happen in Monaco, and you've definitely got the talent to pull it off. So hopefully we see you again next week. Tiak, next up to you. I mean, what a battle you had there with Uncle Ben's Rice for probably the better part of 10 laps. I mean, how stressful was that for you? Well, that was the first thing I said was I bet he's just breathed the biggest sigh of relief he probably could have had. Very nice drive from you. So yeah, next week at Monaco, I mean, you definitely have the pace to pull off another podium here. How do you go in? What's your mindset going into this next race? Absolutely, Monkey. Do you have anything to add?
So if you're finished today and your poll last week, where are your expectations for the season? Are you looking to be in that top 3 for the promotion?
Well, absolutely brilliant drive from you, Tiak. Absolutely great stuff to keep along there with Ben Rice. That was very, very exciting to watch. Absolutely brilliant drive from you. And then on to our winning driver, Matt Rosie. Matt, I mean, back to back, what else can you say? I mean, what do you think was the secret to success here tonight?
Just a lot of preparation and consistency. A little bit of luck too. To be honest, Will had a lot of pace, and I couldn't really catch him on his stint, and then he pit, and I was like, okay, thank God. He's going to do the 2-stop, which is a little bit slower around here, obviously, so I was pretty happy when I saw that, but, just being consistent and putting the work in.
Yeah, and I was about to ask, I mean, how did you react when you saw Will going in? Did you think to yourself, oh, I should probably be going in, or did you kind of keep your head level and say, nah, my strategy is probably going to be the better one?
Well, I was lucky because I actually ran a league race here on Saturday for the first time, and I saw how much quicker the 1-stop was, so the thing was I was a little bit nervous for a second safety car around lap 40 when he'd be pitting in again, because that would have really helped him, obviously, and would have been a really close battle to the end, especially with him being on the faster tire. But as long as, obviously, there wasn't a safety car, which didn't happen, I was pretty confident, even with him going in. So, yeah.
Nicely done. And then, obviously, same question to you again, Monaco next week. How do you attack that one?
Well, we go from probably 2 of my 5 strongest tracks on the calendar to my absolute worst. Yeah. I think it would be an absolute miracle if I finish on the podium next week.
That's a little surprising, if I'm honest. I did not expect to hear that answer.
Not good.
Monkey, do you have anything to add?
So building off of that, the question is, you might not be on the podium, but do you finish the race?
Absolutely. Even if I'm 6-stopping it, I'm finishing.
Can you
Team
beat
better
my
bring some
record
extra
of,
front wings.
I had 6 wing changes in 12 laps here the first time I ever raced here in a league. So I challenge you to the duel.
That's a record I definitely don't want to beat, but you never know. We'll see. We'll see.
I think Hotspot and I are going to have a challenge next week to keep track of how many wing changes overall there are. I think that's going to be the fun stat.
Oh, the pen and paper is going to be out in force. I'm going to need to keep track of that.
You better have a backup.
Oh, yes. Well, absolutely brilliant drive from you, Matt Rosie, yet again. I think definitely one of the favorite drivers to maybe get early promoted up into Div 1. Again, today, again, being another example of that. Me and Monkey were talking, and, it probably could happen, but definitely it's going to be a great time seeing you here in Div 2 as long as you are. Absolutely brilliant drive from you. Thank you for joining us. And, Monkey, any final thoughts on today's race?
Nope, it's everything I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be a little ugly at the start. Knew we were going to have some DNFs, but I also knew there were going to be some battles, which, Tiak and Uncle Ben's definitely gave us that. And, I hate to say I predicted, but I kind of called Matt's finish there with the stretched out win, so I'll take credit for that one.
Absolutely. Could have put money on that one in Vegas. Absolutely. That was a very, very solid drive from Matt Rosie. Absolutely brilliantly done. And, well, thank you all for joining us. Smokey, thank you for joining me in the booth, as always. And then thank you to our podium finishers, plus Will, to join us after the race. And for all of us here in Division 2 and the rest of the Midwest F1 League, we will see you next time.